So two huge things have happened in the last couple of days for the music tech world, and that is the release of Logic Pro for iPad, which was actually announced a couple of weeks ago, and the surprise release of the Ableton Push 3. We'll talk a little more about Logic later. Let's first talk about this Push 3 because that was definitely the big news that I woke up to. Really excited about it, by the way. It's funny because I really think it caught everyone by surprise. Like, nobody was really expecting it. People had talked about a Push 3 leak like 2 years ago. So like this was probably been ready-ish for about 2 years. But I think they saw what happened with the Native Machines Plus, how like they kind of rushed it, gave it a slow processor, and they kind of saw how that happened and went down. So maybe they've been holding on to this for about 2 years. Who knows? Regardless, I'm super excited about this because even though I have all the fancy schmancy synthesizers and hardware, I make a lot of my music with the Push. Like, yes, I make my videos on my hardware, but when it comes to me making music, right now this is my setup. Check out my music channel if you're not subscribed already. So for $9.99 you get a MIDI controller. Yes, a MIDI controller for $1,000. But hey, you know, they're literally the only DAW that has put so much work into creating a hardware that interacts with the software like so precisely. I'm really wondering why Apple hasn't made something like the Push for Logic. But yeah, $1,000 for the controller and $2,000 for the standalone version. So let's talk about these two devices because there is quite a big difference, obviously. Quite a big difference, right? Magic, I know it's so simple, but it's really not. The processor inside the Push 3 is already kinda old. So what's going on there? And yes, you do have the option to upgrade it, but I'm already paying $2,000 right now. And they're talking about they're already working on upgrades for like RAM and other stuff. So like, it's already starting to add up and it's not even, you know, it's not here yet. Also, it's a lot heavier, the difference between the one that has the computer in it and the one that doesn't, obviously. So here's my Push 2. It's a big device. Like, I wouldn't consider this a portable device in my standards. This is a portable device in my standards, okay? The OP1 is a portable device in my standards. I would have really liked to see a smaller, not like a lot smaller. This is the Novation Circuit Trax. It kind of looks like the Push a little bit, but look how thin this is, okay? It's super lightweight. It's USB-C powered. Obviously I don't want to push this small, but I'm saying like maybe like a device somewhere in between these two. I think that would have been a little more ideal when it comes to portability. So the Push 3 looks nearly identical when it comes to our chassis. We have the new fancy pads that I'm looking forward to jamming with. What I'm really looking forward to, honestly, is looping, like live audio. That's the main thing. And the second thing would be learning to play the pads like a badass, like, you know, rocking, like we gonna get there. So it's not like a crazy size. Like, yes, you could throw this on your backpack and, you know, put a deck saver on it. Like I said, the other one is heavier, 2 hours battery life. And also one thing that not a lot of people are talking about, there is no way to transfer stuff into your Ableton Push 3 without using Ableton. Like, there's no micro SD card anywhere, and the USB-A that is on the Push 3 is only to use with a MIDI controller. So I'm not even sure if the USB-C does audio, so we'll have to see how that goes on. But it does have an interface, so that's dope, because like my main problem right now with my current setup is that I don't have a way to set up my metronome without having to go through my actual main out. So that's gonna be dope for my looping workflow that y'all gonna be seeing soon. But yeah, I was kind of disappointed not to see a SD card slot or not even just being able to plug in the USB stick, and that's what I've heard in a few videos. I'm gonna double check just to be safe because I mean, that doesn't really make any sense. But yeah, so that was kind of a thing. Let's pull it up though, because there was so much going on here. All right, let's see here. So I already pre-ordered mine. They were actually like for order, and I'm like, I'm gonna get it later. Then I check again a few hours. It's like, we'll be back in stock in a week. I'm like, oh snap, all right, let me order it now. Then I order it and they're like, we'll be back in stock in 2 months. I'm like, oh, so which one is it? I was lucky to get in that first round, and I think it's gonna be on the way soon, so fingers crossed. Audio interface, standalone playability. I mean, we see Ableton Push here already like as the centerpiece of everything. And that's another cool thing, that like, you don't have to use the inbuilt VST instruments that are in there, right? Like, you can use this to control your synthesizer setup. It even allows you to use the pedal outputs to control your modular gear, so That's dope. And where the processor issues would really be a problem would be when you're trying to load a lot of VSTs and plugins and stuff like that. So if you're just gonna be using it as a hardware sequencer, I don't think you're gonna run into any problems. So Expressive Touch, this is like the main thing of it. We have the fancy schmancy pads that you slide your fingers through. I think this is really cool because what Push does different than any other controller is that it really feels like an instrument. Like if you go hardcore, learning the pads, learning your chords, you can jam on this thing just this without plugging a MIDI controller in it. You can plug a MIDI controller in it if you do feel more comfortable with keyboard style. I don't think it has Bluetooth, so that's kind of lame. I don't think you can just like get a Bluetooth MIDI controller and plug it in that way, so that's kind of behind a little bit. But the new button layout, like, that's dope. So here they're showing us like all the possibilities. Endless gear. Oh my goodness. Thousands and thousands of dollars. All right, hey, this is what I'm excited about. This is what I'm gonna be doing. We're gonna be jamming. Okay. Intuitive design. Let's take a look at this beautiful thing because it really, they did a good job. I am excited about this, okay? So don't think I'm over here being negative Nancy over here. I'm just pointing out things that maybe you weren't aware of, like the SD thing. Did you know it didn't have a micro SD card or any type of SD card slot? Did you? So I've heard that these knobs and the buttons are identical, like in feel. The material is the same. The only thing that is really different material-wise, I think, would be the pads, because they're different, right? But also we now have this beautiful jog wheel over here. And if you're not familiar with the Polyant tracker, that's what makes the Polyant tracker so special, because it really gives you like that analog feel, like you're just kind of like flying through it with that thing. So I think this was a genius addition. And also it's not just like a scrolly wheel. You can move it left and right and up and down, I believe. So that's dope. To the left, we have the volume knob. That is also the Q knob, and I believe the gain knob. So I think you click between them to switch them out. I believe the one below it is the tempo knob. So we have a tab tempo, these little 2 buttons, we'll figure out what that is. Quantize, fixed length, I'm glad they didn't get rid of these useful buttons. And a special button down here is this MIDI capture button. Yo, I'm so happy they brought this MIDI capture to the Push 3 because I've been having so much fun with the Ableton No app. Apps, okay, we'll come back to the apps. But yeah, so Ableton has an app as well. Logic has an app. The Ableton app is $4.99. The Logic app is $4.99 a month. So, yeah. The Ableton app is really dope. It's not like super intense, like it's not Ableton in your phone, but it's a lot of fun, and it also sounds really, really good. Like, I really love the sounds that are on there. They have a lot of like guitars and mallets and koto and like plugs and stuff like that. So like, those are my kind of sounds that I like for my composition. So I'm thinking that they're gonna have like the same similar sounds on here. No, you cannot load VST3s onto here, which I'm wondering why, because like there's a computer in here technically, right? So So ideally what Ableton wants you to do is to make your jams on the go on your phone and then come home, make them on your Push, or take your Push somewhere, jam them there, and then plug them back into your computer and finish your track there. I'm gonna see how much I can get done without the computer at first. It seems like it would be a really smooth transition from jamming on the Push 3 to finishing your track on Ableton. Like that's what Native had been trying to do with the Machine and Native for a really long time. But when you compare the Native DAW to Ableton, like there's no comparison. We have our screen that I heard is exactly the same screen. So there's that. You know, like little things like that, that it's like, okay, it's been 5 years and you guys are still using the same stuff. You know, like I hate being that person because like this puts me in like, I feel like when I say things like this, it puts me on the no list. Like, you know, I didn't get a discount on this. You know, a lot of people got this machine in exchange for a review. I would have said yes to that. That's fine, you know? But if you really like are too honest, you know, companies start to put you on a blacklist. But hey, you know, ain't nobody paying me. Pay me. So we have the same screen, we have the same buttons, we have a few more buttons over here like our mixer. I am excited though, I'm not gonna lie. All right, we have this didn't change, and yeah, our layouts are pretty similar. So when I bought mine, it said that you're supposed to get Ableton Live Lite for free because it said like 99 and then it had it scratched off, but when I checked out it was gone. I have Ableton 11, so I don't really care about that, but I am gonna ask because you know you should get the software with it. I'm pretty sure you do, so I must have did something wrong. 1 push, 2 configurations. So yeah, like we said, we have the standalone version, this one, we have the standalone version and the controller version. They look identical, which is dope. Like I'm glad that, you know, you have the option, like, okay, you don't want the standalone, you don't want to spend that extra grand, you're not going to use it without the computer, like you want your VSTs, you want all your plugins, all right, just get the Push. And honestly, I'm going to see, like, if it's disappointing as a standalone instrument, I'm really hoping it's not. Like, I am like on the positive side of this. I really hope that it's everything I've ever dreamed of, because I really want to just loop and jam. That's all I want to do. So if I can use it standalone without needing the computer to jam, that's what I want. To finish a song, yes. Okay, so now we get here to the upgradable kit. So I'm assuming they're saying late 2023, $1,000 for, I believe this is what, i3? I mean, I'm not sure. We'll see. This one says 2 SSD. Maybe they're, I don't know, they're trying to give us hints. They release new computers every year. Like, companies, plugins, they all have to keep up and re-update all their stuff. So they made this upgradable so it doesn't fall behind. So in 2027, when, you know, your Ableton push is really, really slow compared to your laptop, it doesn't have to be, because Ableton supposedly is going to be releasing these things. But it's $1,000 already, so like that just lets you know. I don't know. What does it let you know? Like, you guys tell me what you think about this. So this upgrade kit is for the people that have the push controller that want to make it standalone. But they also said that they're working on updates for more RAM. You know, like you're going to be able to upgrade the RAM, the storage, and stuff like that. So this is late 2023. I'm already paying $2,000 now, and you're telling me you're already working on more stuff to sell me? I think that's all I have to say on the Push 3 for now. Let's wait till it gets here, and then we can have a real proper opinion, right? Like once we get the damn thing. Sadly, I'm out of time and I gotta go, and I can't talk about the Logic Pro, but we'll be back with that video another day. Stay fly, and I'll catch you in the next one.